Okay, folks, I'm just coming in just 2 moments. I'm just getting things set up here, making sure that the stream's going to be okay this time. I've been actually practicing offline, doing private ones. It's looking okay. But of course, you know what happens? The minute you come to do it live, you know something's going to go wrong, right? You just know it. So what I'm going to do is I'll probably get you all to refresh the stream in a moment, maybe, just to see if that will help things out. It's looking good this end, but that usually means absolutely nothing, folks. So just bear with me 2 moments. I'll be with you. Going to get into what's coming up tonight on big night of radio for me every Friday. Huge night, 5 hours of radio. What's coming up next week? You know, chill out. Mainly, you know, take some questions from you guys that are in the chat room. You guys and girls, non-binaries. I don't want to offend anyone out there in this age of PC madness. You know what it's like, right? So I'll be back in 2 minutes, folks. Don't go anywhere. People admiring the chat on the screen there. Yep, definitely up in the game, trying to get it going. You know, the main thing holding me back right now is the equipment, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it's looking like that is going to be resolved very, very shortly. So what we're looking at now, it's not going to be the finished product, folks. I'm going to be on the camera in a moment. I'm still just getting set up here, making sure everything's cool, everything's nice and dandy, and we're ready to go. Because I don't want it to be really, really kind of poor quality stream. That's the last thing I want, folks. 2 minutes, folks. Don't go anywhere. Okay, so you might have heard me there in the background. It's not got the headphones on today, and I'm going to be looking rather smart in a moment when I come on camera, because I was actually, unfortunately, at a funeral today, and it was my partner Anne, her uncle, Robert Patterson. He passed away a few weeks ago, so we were laying him to rest. And you know, it's always a time when you reflect about things, these horrible occasions. I know we should be there to celebrate somebody's life and things, but you can't get away from the real sadness that's involved in these things as well. Me being the emotional kind of guy I am, I just absolutely hate going to anything at all. I mean, I cry at weddings, for goodness sake. I'm worse than a woman. I'm just waiting to see now. Hopefully we'll get the camera coming through in just a moment. You'll be able to have a look at yours truly, sitting here in all my splendor with my shirt and tie on. It's not that I'm going all kind of mainstream glitzy on you folks. Please don't think that. That's definitely not my bag. Hope you can hear me okay. Somebody in the chat room, Kevy Rock. Listen, man, Uni Rock definitely inspired me to get into this live streaming, but I would never compare myself to the big man. Absolutely not. So I'm just going to see, yeah, we're on camera. We're kind of moving. Not the best quality in the world, I gather, but hey, we'll go with it, right? Hopefully it'll get better as the stream continues. But what I'll do is come over here first of all, and obviously you can check out the website over at kevbakershow.com. You can go and check out all of the kind of shows that I put up there. I'm getting a lot more active on the website. I let things slack there for a while. But seeing we were mentioning Unirock, and he's giving me the impetus. Don't know what it was, some kind of rocket up the ass to get going, get working harder. So yeah, kevbakershow.com, want you all to check that out. And tonight, like I was saying, with 5 hours of live radio for me, I make it sound like it's a hardship. Absolutely love it, because first 2 hours tonight I'm going to be with my good friend Mr. Anthony Patch. You can find his website over at anthonypatch.com, and as you can see here, he has got an exclusive webinar coming up tomorrow for the patrons who have become members of the Anthony Patch Show. I urge you all to check out Entangled magazine. That's something that I provide the graphics for on the front cover. Really enjoying doing that. And the Photoshop side of things, I'm going to take that to another level, which I'll get into in a moment. But we've got a lot to talk about on Tony's show tonight. And of course, I ride shotgun. I make sure all the technical side of things. Imagine leaving me inside of the technical side of things. You're seeing how bad this stream looks right now. But like I say, very, very soon, we're going to have equipment that will be doing this far, far better, far, far slicker. And it's thanks to the Team KBS family. That's as far as I'm going to go on that one right now. But tonight, we're going to go back to CERN. I know Anthony sent me a story the other day. I wanted to make a video about it, I never found time, but I'm actually quite glad now, because we'll be doing it kind of raw, we'll be doing it fresh on the show tonight over on the Anthony Patch Show from 10 PM in the UK, 5 PM in the East Coast, 2 PM on the West Coast. Now, there's a story to do with CERN, like I say, and this is kind of cool. It's kind of stuff that I like to get into, almost decoding symbols, stuff like that. That's as much as I'm going to say on that score. And then later on, after that, I will be on, not InfoWars, that wasn't meant to come up there. I'll be on Freaky Friday with this mad guy here. They call him the Wookiee. I call him the Wookiee. Everyone that comes to TFR chat, these are all Wookiees as well. And it's really where I like to let my hair down at the end of the TFR week for me. And we get into a whole host of topics, we really do. Next week we're going to have Charlie Robinson, one of the authors I have coming onto the show. He actually will be on Freaky Friday with us because he's a firm favourite and a firm fan. And a frequent listener, I'll spit that out, of Freaky Friday. We really do, we get some big names tuning into that. We had Anthony Patch on there one week, myself and the guys, and we were talking about the quantum key to the abyss. Well, that's the famous podcast now, or infamous, thanks to the man behind D-Wave, Geordie Rose. He decided to use that show, or I think we got to him that much in that show, that he opened up a recent presentation. I say recent, probably towards the end of last year. But yeah, Geordie Rose of D-Wave, we know he's listened to at least one Freaky Friday. And I'm sure with the amount of time I speak about my man, you know who I mean, Elon Musk, wouldn't surprise me if Elon's watched as well. It just would not surprise me. But I'm looking at the chat, seeing it's filling up nicely. I hate looking at the chat because it makes me nervous. So that's tonight out the way, okay? We've got Freaky Friday right after the Anthony Patch Show, and that all kicks off at 10 PM UK, 5 PM East Coast, 2 PM West Coast. So then, that brings me to my next thing, and you're not going to hear me shouting about this too much, because this is just a way for people who want to, and more importantly people who can, they can actually become real, you know. Thank you, that's CJ Libo, great graphics for the new stream, catch you daily on TFR. Thank you very much, sir, and like I say, thanks to the audience, the equipment, the quality of the stream, it's going to go up and up. Watch this space for the next couple of weeks, and I'll be making more announcements of that. But if you want to become like the inner kind of sanctum, the inner core of the Team KBS family, and only if you can and want to, I have finally had my arm twisted up my back, and I've started a Patreon campaign. Now, like I say, this isn't something I'm going to push on anyone out there beyond today mentioning it. I've got links in the description, and I'll probably be talking about it with Anthony Patch tonight. After that, I won't be forcing this. I won't turn into somebody that's just going to constantly talk about Patreon. But I know there's people out there who do like to give, and it was Chris Geo who taught me. You know, it's very nice and awfully humble to refuse things when people are generous, but at the same time, that's actually affecting their course that they're on. You know, we're all on our own journeys, and if somebody does choose and they want to give or gift something, then who are we to stand in their way? So that really changed my attitude a few years ago. And then it was Aaron and Melissa Dykes. Melissa's like, why have you not started a Patreon? And of course, these are the two people behind Truth Stream Media. That's right, yeah. I do have them to call on as friends. They're going to be coming on the show very, very shortly. A brand new feature-length documentary movie out. We'll We'll be talking more about that tonight, perhaps on Freaky Friday. But I took the step, and I've been watching Anthony Patch as well. And I know so many people out there care about the work that Tony is doing, and they really have come to the fore. So that kind of inspired me, and altogether I've taken this move. I'll get absolutely slaughtered by the trolls, folks. You know you will. That's what happens, especially in light of me, you know, kind of going after the QTube scammers not so long ago. But I'm not pretending to be something I'm not. What you see is what you get, and if you like it and you like the message, and I don't think we're always going to agree on everything. That would be unnatural. That would actually scare me. That's when you start developing into some kind of cult. And we've done a lot of talking about cults in recent times, haven't we? Anyone see Comedy Central? Absolutely classic. Hate to say, we told you so. So it says we'll be in big trouble with Twitter bans, and that's JC LeBeau again. Thank you so much, sir. And you are. We're talking about Twitter bans, we're talking about YouTube, and rightly or wrongly, after I gave up working because of the health stuff, I really did start relying heavily, and I do still rely heavily on Google Ads on my YouTube. And you know, it's if you're going to be putting videos up, the way I see it is, you know, you're as well just trying to make something off the back of that. It doesn't cost anybody anything. Most people use ad blockers anyway, right? But I've got to the stage where, you know, you're watching Alex Jones go, you're watching the Hagmans go. I mean, the Hagmans, I know they talk about the more political kind of stuff, but dearie me, for taking the Hagmans, all of us are on shaky hook. So that's why we have to find alternative avenues. We have to start branching out. We have to start doing different things, because I have a passion for doing this. I really do. And I'm going to be doing this whatever. You know, if no pennies roll in, I'll still be doing it somehow. So don't think that I'm saying that if no money comes in or anything, I won't be here. Not at all. Not at all. I'll still be here for the joy of it. I genuinely love bringing people information. I love to share my learning experience. And if you want to be a part of that, then you can go to patreon.com, Kev Baker Show. There's going to be exclusive kind of graphics, the Photoshop I was mentioning earlier. Never really thought about it. I always thought, well, what am I going to give patrons? I mean, what can I give them that's really special? And I'll give you desktop wallpaper from time to time, KBS themed. If you're a patron, you can even ask me for something specific. I'll do it for you on Photoshop, I don't mind that. Some people say I've got a bit of an accent, maybe I could read a chapter from a book. So lots of things we can do. And with YouTube live streaming, what we actually... Feedback. Okay, sorry. Hopefully that's the feedback gone, guys. Hopefully. Really sorry about that. See if it's okay now. And that's Robert. Thank you. Rhubarb. I'm gonna have to make you one of my spanner wielders or wrench wielders, something like that. But yeah, hopefully I'm gonna make sure we're all right. We don't have two audio feeds running right now. I think there was two audio feeds, folks. I think we should be okay now. I think we are. Hopefully. Just looking. Grimmy, two audio feeds. It's going to take a wee while to come through. Hopefully you're seeing a better picture than I am at this end, because I look like I've got some kind of demented look stuck on my face. Who cancelled Ike's shows? Is he ill? Not sure. I see that now. There's a stream up there. I've got it, folks. Damn. Hopefully that should be alright now. I'm not going to start again, but obviously I'll be talking about Patreon. Talking about the fact that if you want to support the show, you can do. You can look forward to exclusive live streams, because YouTube does a thing where I can, you know, send out to patrons. Once we get that up and running, a lot more slicker. Kristen, you can listen to my accent all day. No, it's not that. Definitely not. Hopefully it's the content that keeps people coming back for more, and not just the accent. But the audio should be fixed now, folks, I believe. Sounds good. Awesome. We can get back into it. I hope that didn't spoil too much. Probably spoiled about 20 minutes. I spoiled all of it. But hey, there's always something going wrong at this end, and trying to do it myself, I think I'm doing a no bad job so far. But that's it. Patreon. If you want to help, you can. If you can't, that's okay. Either way, I'm still going to be here, okay? So, moving on from there, found a really kind of strange story I want to bring to your attention today. And obviously a lot of talk in recent times about, even last night with L.A. Marzulli on the show, the apocalypse that we're going through, right? And this apocalypse, they're revealing everything's coming to the surface. All the nasty stuff that I need a spanner. Kristen, you're definitely getting a spanner. You need to send me your email address or I'll get it off UniRach. And of course, if anyone's in the chat room and you haven't checked out the actual, Unirock on YouTube, I urge you all to check out Unirock as soon as you can, because in my opinion, definitely one of the better YouTubers out there, and a lot of his listeners and viewers, they've really integrated into the Team KBS family and vice versa. That makes me so proud. But you know, a lot of the stuff we've been covering, a lot of this PG stuff, you know, dodgy food shops in Washington, the Podesta emails, all the stuff coming out of Hollywood. I think there's a lot of misinfo, disinfo out there as well, but one story that I am going to tell you about today I find really interesting, and you're going to see why I find it interesting as well, because I want to show you this book here. Now this book, if it comes up, yeah, The Lost Boys of Bird Island, a shocking expose from within the heart of the NP government. Now if I say here, I'll just read out this blurb. It says, in the late 1980s, serious allegations surface about 3 prominent National Party cabinet ministers, one of them the second most powerful man in the country. They are, it is said, regularly abusing boys on an island just off the coast of Port Elizabeth. Now, from opposite ends of South Africa, a brave cop and a driven journalist investigate. Mark Minnie and Chris Stain independently uncover evidence of a dark secret, but the case only surfaces briefly before it disappears completely. 30 years later, the two finally connect the dots to expose this shocking story of criminality, cover-ups, and the official complicity in the rape and possible murder of children, most of them vulnerable and black. Now, this isn't the story coming from the world of fiction. This is real life. Now, this book was released at the start of this month. It's called The Lost Boys of Bird Island. And one of the authors, Mark Minnie, an ex-policeman, he catalogues all of this evidence into one of these high-ranking paedophile rings. This time we're looking back at the 80s at South Africa. Shows you how global this is, and it's nothing new. But what really caught my attention, and I hadn't heard of this book at all, is the fact that Mark Minnie, the man who exposed politicians leading all the way up to the defence minister at the time in South Africa, and a high-ranking pedophile ring, he mysteriously committed suicide about 1 week after this book was released. Yeah. If you believe that, well, I've got a bridge I can sell you on the moon. Because look at this story here. Relatives don't believe that the paedophile ring co-author committed suicide. And this comes from August the 17th this year. It's from the Times Live, South Africa. And I'll read out this. It says, relatives of the co-author of a book that lifted the lid on an alleged apartheid-era pedophile ring say his life was in danger and do not believe that he committed suicide. Former policeman Mark Minnie was found with a gunshot wound to the head on a small holding in Port Elizabeth on Monday. He had co-authored recently published book, The Boys of Bird Island, or The Lost Boys of Bird Island, which implicated high-ranking National Party cabinet ministers and a businessman in the abuse of young boys during the 1980s. Family members say that Minnie had told them before he died that his life was in danger. No shit. And then relative Teresa Dodo told the South African BC that Minnie was no coward and would not have taken his own life. Now it goes on to quote here, and I'll just zoom this in so you can see this better, folks. This is what happens when you get too close to the truth. I'm telling you, in some countries, this guy paid the ultimate price. So it says, I spoke to a couple of my cousins, and to all of them he expressed that his life was in danger, and if anything did happen to him, we must know that it was done to him, not by himself, she said. Now this is a family member saying this, right? It says, I spoke to a couple of my cousins, and to all of them he expressed that his life was in danger, and that if anything did happen to him, we must know that it was done to him, not by himself. Minnie was following up leads and more evidence that had surfaced after publication of the book when he died in Port Elizabeth. A gun found next to his body allegedly belonged to the owner of the small holding, who was away and unaware of the shooting until the body was found, along with an apparent suicide note. Quote, I knew about the book for many years, and I also knew about what he had been through, what he had seen, he had been involved with, the investigation surrounding the books, I could actually say, because there is further information, said Dodo. Now it makes you wonder what he was about to uncover or expose in his next book that was due to come out, or would have came out. And it goes on to say that Mark faced life head on. There is no way that I, or any of us, believe that he would have opted out, and that this is why I agreed to do this interview, to dispel any thoughts and rumours that this could have been a suicide. He wasn't the kind of man that was cowardly, that would do something like that. His love for his family and his friends and his colleagues that he worked with, it wouldn't have been right for the man that Mark was. Now, she believed the supposed suicide note may have been written under duress. I would like to see it before I believe it was written by Mark. Now that's the end of that story there, folks. But that gives us a pretty, decent insight, a window into the fact. And I've always said that, it's not confined to the elites in the UK, Parliament, places like that. It's not confined to the higher echelons of political life and Hollywood life and elites over in the US. If only it was. If only it was, because the horrible, horrible fact is that this is like a disease that's on our planet right now. It's always been there. It used to be more hidden away. It wouldn't be spoken of. But, you're starting to see it more and more prevalent now. And this is what happens, when brave people try to uncover the truth. And at the same time as this is going on, we've got all these stories that we've got absolutely no evidence to back up. We've seen Uni doing some great work about that Voodoo Donuts place that everyone started to talk about. And that for me was like another famous pizza shop in Washington. Almost like a straw man, like a honeypot to attract any kind of conspiracy theorist or analyst in to really analyse it, really dive down. And you're going to find connections in there that are going to be creepy and weird, but does it actually mean anything? And when you get all of these bigger stories coming along and the real ones out there, they get lost. The real heroes that are doing real investigations, bringing real names out, they actually die along the way. So we need to be really, really careful at this time when it's almost like a witch hunt, because I do feel that all of this, the plethora of fake stories out there as well, they'll be used along with the roasting of, you've seen it on Comedy Central. They lumped all of this kind of stuff in with people that probably done more harm to anyone that looks at alternative media, conspiracies. They've done more harm to this movement in that 7-minute roast than I can ever remember. And you might think, well, we're not like them. We don't follow Q. We don't do that stuff. But in the eyes of the public, and that's who the media are aiming at, in this case Comedy Central, they want to build a perception that we're all like that. And for us talking about cases, be they genuine or be they fake or otherwise, it'll all be lost. It'll all be ruined because people will associate that with the madness, the nonsense that we've seen coming from the genius Sather and his 3 cohorts over on Comedy Central. It was like a really bad Monty Python skit of what comedy or conspiracy has become. And it's what we all knew would happen. You know, I said it and we all knew it, because any time something big comes along, you know the mainstream are going to ridicule it, whether it's right, wrong, otherwise. And we know better. We know the scam. Don't need to go into that. But imagine it, folks. Imagine sitting there and you get an offer from Comedy Central. I mean, maybe if it was CNN or Anderson Cooper, you might think to yourself, okay, they're going to make me, they're going to belittle me, they're going to make me look stupid, but at least it's going to be semi-serious. But Jim Jeffries from Comedy Central comes calling, and these people didn't realise it was going to be a setup. I've kind of moved on now. I still watch what Uni and the guys are doing on that side of things. But I honestly can't bear to watch the major YouTubers out there trying to say that this is actually the mainstream trying to kill it because they're so threatened by it. No. Things that they're threatened by, like this gentleman here and his book, that's what the elites are worried about. You know, as opposed to that, if they ridicule you and make you into a joke figure, this is a different level of fish altogether that this guy was messing about with. And he paid with his life. So, with that out the way, just want to point to the fact that last night on the show, in fact, all this week on the show, it's been off the charts. It truly, truly has. We'll come over here to the archive for... There he is there. Kev Baker's show. Handsome looking chap. Must have been younger then. Dear Lord, look at the state of me now. But I'm going to come into the chat in a minute, folks. Don't panic. I'm coming into the chat, see what's happening in there. Probably still got a horrible stream going on, but hey-ho. Hey-ho. We'll just go with it. So, like I say, we started off the week with Charlie Robinson laughing in the face of the New World Order. You can check that out in the archive or here on YouTube. And then we kind of shifted gears back into the world of gang stalking on Tuesday. Dr. Eric Karlstrom, he was on. And then the night after that, Wednesday, wow, award-winning documentary maker Patty Greer talking about crop circles. Now, I know people out there, you might think, oh, come on, crop circles aren't important, Kev. But I like to look at everything. Absolutely everything. Getting less and less into talking about politics and crap like that, because that's just absolute nonsense. It's all theatre, it's all division. And in the end of the day, if they can convince you to vote once every 4 or 5 years, depending where you live, that's akin to really extreme Stockholm syndrome. It really is, because we are we're captives of our governments in respective countries, wherever you are. And for us to go out and give them, you know, the mandate to do it to us all again, be it a red side or a blue side, they're all cheeks of the same mutated bum. They really are. Right. Repeating background. There you go. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. It's because I can't hear it today, CJ. It's off. It's gone. Hopefully that'll improve it now. But yeah, like I was saying, the crop circle stuff, absolutely fascinating. And I found it really interesting because it really tied in with some of the work I've done with Anthony Patch. A lot of the language was the same. And you might think to yourself, well, how could you be like talking about real hard science and crop circles in the same breath? Because I was lucky enough to be speaking to somebody, a croppie, as she calls herself, Patty Greer, and she's been there. She spoke to William Leavenworth. That was Dr. William Leavenworth. And when he came across crop circles, he was a really renowned scientist, and he was asked to investigate, you know, the crop circles and things. He dropped everything else and dedicated the rest of his life's work to crop circles. Now, that in itself, I think, that in itself shows you, you know, that there is something real here. And man, oh man, did Patty Greer explain it well the other night. Whether she is 100% correct or not, that is absolutely up to the listener to decide. She was talking about plasma. We were talking about cymatics. We were talking about water under the surface, vortexes, vortices, energy, Tesla, you name it. This came into this conversation. So I really urge you all to check out that show. And again, if you don't want to subscribe to the Kev Baker show on there, it's on YouTube for you, okay? I've got it all there for free on YouTube. And then last night, I would say that the icing on the cake. However, I really can't separate this week's guests. They were all phenomenal. And tonight I've got Anthony Patch to round it all off. Yep, lucky guy. I get that. I do. I appreciate it. But L.A. Marzulli came on and we talked about UFO disclosure. Love L.A., the Indiana Jones of ancient mysteries, the Nephilim, UFOs, all that stuff. And what he got into, it was really serious last night, myself and L.A. We were talking about the times we're living in, along with the fact that there is some kind of UFO disclosure coming along right now. And Kristen, I'll get you that in a moment. I'll bring you the link for that. It's the Crop Circle Diaries. You can find that on cropcirclefilms.com. That's cropcirclefilms.com. But back to LA last night, basically talking about how, we're going through an apocalypse right now. And a lot of people, myself included, before I really started getting into language and looking at all the research and things, I used to think the apocalypse was a big fiery end. The way that they show us on TV shows, stuff like that. But in reality, it's more of a revealing. And we are living through a revealing right now, and it's the end of one age and we're moving into the next. This is when they're rolling out their new world order so that they can have it in place, ready for this new age. That's why things are going batshit crazy right now, folks. That's why we're seeing all these earthquakes as well around the planet. That's why we're seeing so many people having to get in touch with me to speak to Bill Bean, the spiritual warrior. There's so much going on energetically, not just physically in our 3D realm, but all around us as well. And bear in mind and never lose sight of the fact that we've got CERN puncturing holes into other dimensions anytime they're smashing those particles. And then on a smaller scale than that, what we've actually got is the D-wave. A scaled-down version of CERN, counter-rotating the qubits, this dimension, that dimension. I often think about it might be wrong, but I picture it, if this dimension's like Swiss cheese, that's what we're getting like. And a big shout-out to, I think it's Spectre Inc. in the chat. Thank you. Best show on the net. Wow. I wish it was, dude. I wish it was. I just like to add my bit in, and I think all the shows together. I hate when there's competition, I do. And somebody would say, how come then you go up against people like Sather and you really talk nasty about them? Because they're lying to you. That's why. It's as plain and simple as that. He's still trying to convince you of not just that letter of the alphabet, but the other stuff he's on about as well. And he's knowingly doing it, and he's slick, and he's been trained, and that's dangerous, folks. We often talk about Mockingbird in the mainstream media. We've got to watch out for the Mockingbird amongst us as well. Don't think that there aren't imposters out there, some of the favourite people you're probably watching. And I need to be on my toes as well all the time. We all do. Because that's the world we're living in now. And that's why I go up against some channels. And from time to time, I will call some out, but I don't want to get into these silly beefs that you get on YouTube because I'm more about working alongside people. More about coming together, Actually, even if we disagree, still come together. And surely we can all put our heads together and say, there's one thing we know. We know this for a fact. That there is a conspiracy afoot. And there are a cabal of elite, satanic, dark entity worshipping so-and-sos who don't have our best interests at heart. So when you come down from that one major problem, yeah, we're going to have different interests. We're going to have different things that we're into. We're going to disagree. But we mustn't ever lose sight of the fact that we're all in this together. They love it when we all divide and conquer and do it all for them. It's so easy for them then. That's how they do it. So let's try and make it a lot harder for them. But that said, Lionel Media, I'm not going to give you peace either. Absolutely not giving you peace, man. A brain like yours, an intelligence like yours, and you're telling me you don't know you're scamming people, then I'm sorry, but I tell you, anyone who, I don't know if you're practicing law anymore, certainly wouldn't be going to you, that's for sure. But anyway, that out the way, I said I wasn't going to attack people, and I just blatantly did. Deborah Sparkles, you bring sparkles to the chat room. That's what I think. And I'm going to get into the chat room now, right? Because I've been waffling away here. I know the audio was crap at the start. I apologise for that. But we're going to get into the chat. Hillary. We've got Hillary in the chat. Kristen, it just doesn't look like right. I want you to have that blue spanner. So I'm definitely going to have to... In fact, I'm going to drop my email in the chat room. Kristen, if you can email me, I can put you on the moderator list, because I don't think it looks good when you don't have a wrench in there. And I know American people say spanners, but it's a wrench. Or I say spanner. American people say wrench. I've lost the plot. But Kristen, please email me. And Robert, if you're still listening, send me your YouTube channel. I need your YouTube channels. That's what I need to actually add you. So you go to your channel page and then click on the actual web address, and that will give me your details, just your channel address, nothing else I need. And the next time you come in, what you will have is your own shiny blue spanners. So I hope that works for you guys. I hope that'll keep things going. Just try to see what else we've got before I dive into this chat room here. I've got nothing else for you folks, so we're going to go into the chat. Just going to... There we go. I've got my page back now. So hopefully, fingers crossed, Kristen, you get in touch. Robert, I need your channel. And that'll be another 2 we can add to the list. And I think that's Karenza Great. Love the afternoons with you, Mr. Baker. Oh, no. We have to drop the Mr. Baker bit. Definitely. That freaks me out when people call me Mr. anything. Definitely just go with Kev. We're all one team here. So, yeah, definitely just Kev for me. But I'm going to scroll up the chat now, right? There's been heaps of you asking things. In fact, you know what? Just start asking questions now. Throw things out there now. What do you want me to talk about? What do you want me to get into? See, I'll just wait here now. I'll wait for these questions to come flying in. Carol Motsinger, how you doing, Carol? Great to see you here, Carol. I think you should send me your YouTube channel as well. I definitely trust you with a spanner. I really do. We can repair the world one spanner at a time. Is that kind of cool? Can we go with that? But listen, I've got cool things as well. See if somebody subscribes to the channel. Just to actually the channel when we're on air. There's like a dancing Wookiee comes up. You knew I'd have to get a Wookiee in there, right? So we've got, yes, Robert, you got my message. Carol, if you get my message, Carol, I dropped my email in the chat. I'll do it again, but get in touch with me and I'll give you your personal spanner. Just give me your YouTube channel. Sometimes it's really hard to find people just with their name. I don't get it. Who knows? Cappy not happy. Lee, tell us what's happening, man. What's happening with Cappy? I don't like him. I still don't trust Cappy. I really don't trust the dude. So Lee in the chat room has brought up Isaac Cappy. Now, Isaac Cappy's one of the big names that's come forward in recent times, isn't he? And he's really been, I think it was Tom Hanks. Was it Steven Spielberg? Seth Rogen, I believe. I'm not sure. Allegedly. I'm certainly not accusing these people. I've only got Isaac Cappy's word to go on. And Isaac Cappy's an actor. Wakey, people. I don't know. But what's the latest with them? CERN. What's happening at CERN? Hampstead case. Hampstead case, last I heard, the children at the Hampstead case were with their father, Ricky Deering. So I'm not sure. LA was calling me Kevin. Yeah, Kevin's like my... Today with a shirt and tie, I feel like a Kevin. This is my Kevin day today. But no, I'm so much more used to Kev. My boy, he's Kevin. He's Kevin. So Kevin, it's really confusing in this house. Angela, for all the latest on CERN, right? Tonight I'm going to be with Anthony Patch, and there's some quite kind of, how would you put it now, really interesting stuff going on the periphery of CERN. There really is. And we'll be getting into some of that tonight. Some symbology around CERN happening just now. And I'll get Tony to tell you what's upcoming in CERN. The main thing they're going to be doing in CERN is they're going to be really accelerating atoms. They call them atoms, but really it's just the ions with an electron added on. Now, there's going to be no collisions when they're doing this machine, this kind of new testing for future projects. But it's really cool from a science point of view because they fire these ions with the electron attached. They go round and round and round, and just by them going round it near the speed of light, what that does is it produces gamma rays. But what they're wanting to do with the gamma rays, I really, it's hard to wrap my head around. I know what they want to do it. Don't ask me how they do it. But they take those gamma rays, which are photons, right? Just light. That's all it is. And from there, they're going to create new quantum particles. This is something we've discussed with Anthony. They call it the Gamma Factory. It's going to be something they're doing in the future. It's one of these proof of concept experiments to make sure they've got things right. I think that happens later on in the year. Good Rob sent that for Kev. I seen there's Lee in the chat. Cappy seems to be glory hunting. I'm not sure about him at all. I'm really wary about him. I want him to be genuine. I do. I want to see people that are in there coming out and naming and shaming people. I want them to go to the police, like Uni keeps on saying as well. Don't go and run over to YouTube and run to QAnon posts and report things there. Get to the police, get them involved. And I know people will say, but the police are involved, Kev. Not all of them. Not all of them, folks. And at least you've done your thing then. You've gone to the police. If they don't do anything after that, well, you know, that's an even bigger story then, isn't it? And it's the children that are involved in all of this, you know. I don't hear much or enough being spoke about them. And I don't want to get too far into this because it's dark, it's the afternoon, it's Friday, I'm looking towards Anthony's show, stuff like that. You know, it absolutely sickens me to the core. Somebody mentioned Hampstead earlier on. I had to take a good few months away from looking at any of that kind of stuff, like way away. That's when I went so far into the woo, because that stuff leaves a mark on you, folks. If you are any way empathetic and you pick up on the feelings of others and stuff like that, I tell you, it's hard to look at that stuff. And how people can look at it constantly is beyond me. It truly, truly is. What happened to Ella? Is she still in Russia? Lee, I honestly don't know, sir. I honestly don't know. Like I say, after that story, and I'm still proud of the fact I helped the mum and the kids get a message out. How it all turned out, you know, who knows what's going on in the background. And I don't want to, you know, damage any cases that might be going on or anything. I really don't know. But that said, it really is. It's hard work getting into that stuff. And that's why, you know, like I was saying there, I went to the extreme woo, away from that, right deep into the Sasquatch, deep into my space stuff, all of that. Because me personally, that really gets you down. And people even criticize me nowadays because I didn't jump on the Cappy stuff, because I'm not on there, you know, talking about PG every day with David Seaman and all the other people bringing out all of these remarkable claims and sensational stories. But none of it I can find backed up. And the reason I went with Hampstead confidently was because there was police tapes. I was speaking to the mother themselves. And that, for me, you know, how the case panned out, at least there was evidence there. I wasn't just, you know, flying from the hip. Because I'm really scared. I'm really wary about the fact that, you know, it's perilous doing this kind of work in alternative or real media. And when you don't have a team of researchers about, sometimes you have to go with your gut. And when it comes to Cappy, if I'm to go with my gut, I don't think I would go with him. I don't think I would have Isaac Cappy on the show. I think he's a distraction. I think he's maybe actually put out there for a reason. You know, say they do rubbish everything he's come out with, okay? Say they absolutely prove that all of that is bunkum. Then what does it do for all of the other information, the likes of Veterans for Truth, all of you researchers out on the net? What happens then? Because you can bet your bottom dollar, just like the Comedy Central, they'll lump it all together, folks. And just like they done with that pizza shop in Washington, everyone started concentrating on that. Me included. I started looking there. When in reality, the real story had already been published in the emails. The Podesta stuff. That's where the real kind of thing came from. And we were distracted. We were led astray. Breadcrumbs led us to a really interesting place that I'm not saying is innocent. But do you see how they can take you away from where the real story is? And then before you know it, all of that is rubbished. And I still see people using the hashtag PG term on Facebook and things. And I just roll my eyes. I roll my eyes. And a big shout out to Carenza. Thank you, Carenza. I hope we had some kind of Wookiee or something flying up on the screen there. I'm not sure. But thank you so much. But yeah, see how they can do that? They just set a place up. And all your attention's diverted there. And before you know it, the whole thing, gone. And I was talking about the actual terminology, PG. I'm not saying anything. You know what I mean? I see people using it on Facebook and I think, no, don't call it that. Don't call it that. And they say, well, why not call it that? That's because people think that all of that is debunked. People think it was all fake. Now, we know it wasn't all fake. We know that there was a truth at the heart of that story. But I have to keep pointing out that they're not trying to convince people that think for themselves. What they're trying to do is convince the public. They try to engineer their perception of reality. And as horrible as it is, we're still in the minority of people calling ourselves awake. Vast majority of the public actually do still believe the news. More and more are coming to our side. But then when they arrive here, what do they get? They get a shit show like QAnon. What is that all about? What is that all about? I'm going to show that message. Somebody just dropped. I think it's Robert. I trust you, brother. So I'll show that. I'm trying to click show right now. Hopefully that'll get shown. Somebody saying, look into Initiative 2045. It's either incredibly big or a scam. I'm going to take a note of that. 2045. It rings a bell, man. Rings a bell. 2030. I'm used to hearing about 2030, but 2045. I'll look into that. Absolutely. Oh, hang on. There's a G.E. Flint. I like G.E. I want to get your comment there. If a story is debunked, it all goes away. That's a really concise way of saying what I was trying to say. And that's what I think they might do with somebody like Cappy. And it's what they've done on Comedy Central the other night for sure. You know, anybody watching that isn't into our stuff. I mean, you think Alex Jones done harm for the movement and things the way he would act sometimes? That was ridiculous. Honestly sat there the first time I seen it. I was laughing, but at the same time I'm thinking, you have just made all of us look like that. A guy telling you that Q was JFK Jr. Seriously? Wow. But yeah, you're right. That is exactly how they rubbish everything. And Scotty Good, you've said the PG. You've got the other PG. What do we call it? Satanic crimes against youth. I don't know, I've probably been flagged up now for saying those words online. I don't know. We need to... I just think that, like conspiracy theorist, that's a pejorative, right? They programmed people at the time, the Warren Commission, JFK. You talk conspiracy theorist, people go, oh, no, you're one of those people, right? It's the same now with PG. It's the same now. And people honestly do out there think that things aren't quite as bad as what they might seem. A lot of these stories are just fake, nothing to worry about. Because of what happened with that story. Damn, they're good, folks. You know, we hate the mainstream media, but they're good. They know what they're doing. And never, ever underestimate them. That's why on the show the other night, I was watching Uni to start with, and he was talking about how, you know, all of this could have been leading to this time. They could have been setting us up for ages. And have you ever wondered about how obvious some of the clues were in false flag events? I mean, like one of them, you get the crisis actors that turn up at multiple locations, and conveniently they're the ones filmed by the news crews. You're telling me that they don't know that that person was used before. So if they know that, then why are they putting it out there? They knew we would see it. Were they baiting us in? Wow, look at that. That's crisis actors. And you had the Boston bombing. You had the boy who was already an amputee, you know, and then we see all the fake blood and everything else. But just so easy to find, right? If they, I mean, would they really be that sloppy that we would find everything that they get up to? Really? I don't think so. So if you flip that round, what does it mean? It means they were trying to hook us in. They were trying to get us to build conspiracies that at one day in the future, i.e. now, when they put them all together, you know, all the Sandy Hook stuff, all the Boston bombing, you name the false flag where there's been heaps of evidence. They all been out there. They had done that so that we could basically hang ourselves. The more evidence they left, the kind of more extreme the theories we would come up with. Makes you wonder why they were so sloppy. I don't think they are sloppy. I really don't. Really, really don't. So that's just a thought. Says here, Russ Dizdar is a must-watch for people who don't think SRA is real or just want to hear real stories. Good shout, Scotty. I'm going to have a guest on Tuesday called Michelle Saldano. Now, Michelle is a survivor, and she was born into one of these, well, not Illuminati, but mafia families. Now, she's going to be coming on and talking about SRA, her MK programming. Hell of a story. But the good side of this is that Michelle, far from being a victim or beaten, and, you know, she is actually out there helping people now on Skid Row. She's got her own foundation. She's helping people get back into work. And I'm going to be having her on the show on Tuesday night. So we'll be getting into that stuff. And it is very real. Very, very real indeed. And I know that there's people out there, you know, there are people who lie on the internet. There's fantasists, stuff like that. Again, it's the gut. And there's, you know, a lot of stuff there that I've been able to look at as well. So always keep an open mind when you listen to anyone who has these stories. I say that about anything you listen to. Go and research what they're saying as far as you can and use your gut, use your discernment, folks. Okay? That's the biggest weapon we've got, especially in these times where you're talking about infiltration of the truth movement. You're talking about so much information that's fake, so much misinformation. Your discernment, you have to really kind of tune that, and you need to listen to, talk about listening to your gut, things like that. That's what that is. You need to listen really loud these days because there's just so much shit going on out there that you really don't know at some points. And the only way you can tell is by listening to that little inner voice, that feeling that they haven't been able to hack yet. There's one thing they haven't been able to get to. So Tuesday night for that. And Monday night, I'm really looking forward to this one. This is a YouTuber that I've been watching for years. Ex-Lieutenant Colonel Roy Potter is going to be coming on to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Monday night, I'm going to be able to get him on. So I'm really looking forward to that one. James in the chat room. Kev, can you interview Brian Harvey and tell us your thoughts on Brian Harvey? Dude, James, great shout. Absolutely great shout. And Brian Harvey, you know, when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, this guy, you know, when I was going round to my girlfriend's house, this guy was on my girlfriend's wall. He was like in one of these boy bands, E17, a massive, huge number one back when the height of their fame. Very famous indeed. And I never heard anything of Brian Harvey for years after that. And now, Brian Harvey is all over the internet. He's trying really hard to expose a lot of big things, a lot of big crimes, and an element within this movement. You would think people who are out there trying to name and shame these elites, these politicians that do harm children, you would think everything's cool there, not to worry. But, and this is according to Brian Harvey, there's a lot of people, especially here in the UK, either working undercover for the cops, talking about MI5 involvement, you're talking about death threats coming from police, and one of the major activists in the UK, and I'm not going to name him because I need to talk to Brian Harvey, because Brian Harvey's got the information on this. But you would think these people are kosher, and if Brian Harvey's to be believed, and I've no reason to doubt him, I've watched the stuff, James, and a lot of people asking about Brian Harvey, rightly. Here's a right, real guy. And I tell you what, he is going through hell. Absolute hell. And I've reached out on Facebook. I don't blame him for not getting back to somebody on Facebook. You know, he could be anybody. But if anyone out there does know how to get in touch with Brian Harvey, and he hasn't heard of the Kev Baker show, I don't expect him to have heard of this. Tell him, look, it's somewhere where you can go and you can have your say. That's what KBS has always been about. I certainly would provide him with a platform. I think he has got a story that people need to hear. I think he's got the potential to bring down a lot of big people along the way as well. So if you do know Brian or you can get in touch with him, just tell him, look, use the uni show, use Hampstead stuff, use anything, but tell him it's a genuine show. And I'll certainly give him the floor for 1 or 2 hours, however long he needs, probably 2 hours. But absolutely. So am I on Brian Harvey's side? I certainly am compelled by his story. I need to see more. And I know he's got evidence. I'm not criticising the bloke at all. I just need to look into it further, that's all. But absolutely, James, you know, no, thank you for bringing it up. So it says here, looking forward to Roy on Monday's show, Kristen. Absolutely. And then we have got Winslow after that, definitely. I wouldn't say I've been working hard, but days have been long. It probably didn't want me to read that out, but hey-ho. Welcome to the Kev Baker Show chat. This is what we do on here. This is nice. It's just like under 100 of us chilling out. Sorry about the audio at the start. I'm scrolling up again, see what we've got. Brian Harvey, that's right, I'm there. Honest, smart people question themselves versus dishonest, foolish people never question themselves. A good point. Much love to you and Anne. Sorry for your loss. Oh, thank you, Maria. Yeah, Anne was a bit upset earlier on. And like I say, you know, never a nice thing when you have to go to a funeral, but when it's a family member, obviously a whole lot closer to home. But as I always like to remind people, probably, you know, in a far better place than he was when he was in this realm right now. And that's something we can all look forward to. At some time in the future, we'll all hook up again. I'll probably have a podcast, knowing my luck. But Lee, see what you're saying, looked into trauma-based mind control and behaviour modification. Oh, this chat is a nightmare. There we go. I've got Lee back. Gang stalking and cyber stalking, very real. That is why people need to be more civil. Because some people might be under mind control and have multiple PTSD. That's a really good point. That is a really good point. And sometimes, you know, in amongst that queue kind of a nonsense that I was getting involved with, I was letting myself down as well because I let them get to me. I reacted. I said some nasty things that if I was in public, I would never ever have treated anyone physically in my presence like that. So, yeah. We have to remember, you know, my rule of thumb online, I try and treat people like I want to be treated as you would in the real world. But the minute somebody, you can tell right away if they're a keyboard warrior, I'm not going to sit there and take that if I see it. So maybe I just need to kind of back off from comments sometimes because, oh boy, do they know what buttons to push. I'm telling you, some of the crap that we get behind the scenes, and I'm not saying this, it's not a pity party. Everyone in alternative media gets it at some point. It's just as if you become target number one and they just want to vent at you. You just have to remember, you know, in the end of the day, don't take it too personally. It's just the way they are. So, back into this, I'm looking for more. See, Planet, Nancy Jones, that's the name of the place, Planet Pizza, Comet Pizza. That was the shop I'm referring to. And I think a lot of the stuff that we thought we had uncovered about that place was a very, very convenient distraction and a good way of pulling down everyone that was researching that stuff. And that's why I don't like seeing that term being used. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. It's a good term to use because people know what you're talking about. But people that aren't awake are going to look at that term and go, oh, wow, that's that mob that were, that dude ended up shooting up the pizza shop. That's what a lot of people remember about that. A lot of people don't even know that all of that stemmed from Podesta's emails, the really creepy ones about hot dogs and stuff like that. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Absolutely. So anyway, we're getting near the end of the time here. I think I've taken up way, way, way too much. Harvey is doing well to keep it together. Much of what has been done to him has plausible deniability. Hashtag imagine that. Exactly. Sane man. And that's something that Dr. Eric Hallstrom, he talks about the gang stalking and things. It's one of their biggest weapons. That they make it so it's just deniable enough that you look mad. So that people will say, well, maybe you're just kind of exaggerating, imagining that. That's what they want people to think. So that's a really great point. And he is doing well holding it together, saying, man, watch cops coming round his house. Cops come round his house and they say to him, by the way, we know there's a death threat against you, but there's absolutely nothing we can do for you. Bye. Now, they know the boys had mental health problems in the past, thanks to what's going on with everything all around them. You're making me more determined to get Brian Harvey on, folks. Yous are. I don't know how I'm going to do it. And then we've got, where is the rest of your last post with LA? Then, Joe, it stops before it is... I cut off the end of it. You know why I cut off the end of it, Rise and Shine? Because I wasn't sure if the audio from Comedy Central was going to get a strike or not. And I know there's videos up there on YouTube right now, but that's why I took the end of that video off, and I apologise for that. You can get the full show over on the archive, but that's why I took the end of that one. Nothing nefarious. Have Disney finished building their alien base in Antarctica yet? I tell you what, if Disney are building anything in Antarctica, I want to know about it. Kev, it's done on purpose to try and get you riled up enough to slip up. Exactly. Exactly. No worries, brother. A curse unfounded never comes to rest. If I never hear a Q again, it would be great. Annabelle. I'm laughing because my nephew, my cousin that got married a few weeks ago, he was calling my partner Annabelle, just to annoy her. And I agree with you, Annabelle. I want us to have a 25-letter alphabet from now on. We can just leave that one out. Or, I don't know, I was thinking of like a good memes I could make. Because I don't mind using the Photoshop. I'm thinking Q-Aid. Because the ones that are still really following Q, they're drinking the Q-Aid, didn't they? At this point, to still be loyal and thinking that you're following a military insider, despite what, Roy Potter, he had on Baruch the Scribe, one of the guys that was right in there at the heart of this thing. Despite all of the evidence out there, they're still drinking the Q-Aid. So let's see what else is happening out here. We've got Karlstrom was a great guest. I've got his website still open on my laptop. Kristen, his articles are, honestly, they're second to none, aren't they? They're like massive. You could probably print 3 of his articles and you'd have like a 200-page book. Love L.A. Marzulli, Nancy. Oh, isn't he just brilliant? He's got an energy to him. He's out there. He's on the ground. Some of the stuff Ellie's brought forward in the past, don't get me wrong. I've sat there and I've said, nah, not on board with that. But that's okay. Do that with everyone I watch. I don't agree with everything they say. Anthony Patch, that's different. I rarely find myself disagreeing with him. And usually we're right. So tune into that show tonight. Don't forget. We got need to replay Marzulli. I was so busy yesterday, didn't get to concentrate. It is on YouTube for you, Kristen. It says, I built the brain chip all have gotten since 1965 as a toddler. I am sorry to tell you, don't have a tiny voice that's either a computer or it's David Archer talking to you on the microphone. You do not carry on conversation with God. You have never talked to God. That's the voice of God, 1967 US Army weapon. SCGW. And I'll show the next message. It says Marshall Applewhite fell for that, created his Heaven's Gate cult. They stalked everyone with VTK. and killed them all. That voice to skull stuff. That's real stuff, folks. Voice to skull. That's one of the major kind of weapons, the electronic weapons they use on people. Really is. I'm looking to see if SCGW drops anything else in. That was really interesting. Yeah, there's one video a woman made showing how to stop VTK with a square magnet on her foot. That is true. Also, put one on the neck, on the sternum. Be careful, those are deadly magnets. Do not let them close. Wow. Okay. Carol Motzinger never listened or read to Q stuff. Are you a Q virgin? Wow. Oh, man, I want some of your juju juice, man. I want to cleanse myself of Q. I need to be in the company of people who haven't drank the Q-Aid. That's what I need. Carol, I am envious. Envious. I remember back at the start, I used to like winding up Duncan Campbell, a guest that used to come on the show. And QAnon split us up, folks. I know a lot of people out there love Duncan Campbell coming on the show. I know they did. I've seen the Wookiee flying up. That must have been somebody on Patreon. But no, we parted ways. I used to have a laugh with Dunk about, you know, you'd say the cabal were all going to Gitmo and all that kind of thing. And I used to say, come on, man, there's no evidence anybody's in Gitmo. And I still don't think there's evidence of anyone in Gitmo. I'm not speaking ill of Duncan, it's just that's what drove us apart. He ended up just blocking me on Facebook and going and taking part in what is known as the British fight. Another kind of branch of QAnon. So it really did have a divisive effect on people in the truth community. I don't hide anything, and there's nothing, you know, I'm not speaking bad about Duncan. I'm just letting you know that that is what came between us. I used to love having Duncan on. I'll have Duncan on again in a minute. Unless it's to talk about QAnon. But folks, I'm almost out of time now. I've been going for an hour and 11 minutes. So there's a bit of synchronicity, eh? Now, I'll be getting ready for tonight's show with Anthony Patch. You can see that at 10 p.m. in the UK, or listen to that at 10 p.m. in the UK, 2 p.m. on the West Coast, 5 p.m. on the East Coast. I want to invite you all there. I'll be riding shotgun with the big man. I turn into listener mode, and sometimes I forget to unmute when I'm listening to him. There's going to be a lot of AI stuff tonight, a lot of CERN, a lot of catching up, and we'll be talking about the upcoming Entangled magazine, which is going to be completely different this time. It's going to steer away from the stuff that Tony usually looks at, and he's going to take a really in-depth look at something else, another creation that is on this planet, a far more natural creation. And I'll leave it there, so you can get that over at anthonypatch.com. Try to think anything else before I let you go. I'm going to let you go because I'm going to go and get fed. I'm starving. I need to get out of this. Q was the guy from Star Trek. Q should always have been the guy from Star Trek. He should only have been that. I liked him. He was from the time continuum. Last word to Lee Veltman. Q is Pamphlet and Patriot Soapbox. Corsi, Tracy Diaz, and Baruch. And we'll throw in the Q-tubers, the people, the propaganda wing of Q. You know I love them. Yep, I'm speaking to you, Sather, and you, Lionel. I used to want Lionel on my show. I wouldn't let Lionel near my show nowadays. Okay, he's got 300,000 subs, but he's got 300,000 subs. Why? Because he was pushing Q. That's enough from me for this time. I'll be back tonight. I'll put this screen on here. You can watch the chat. I'll turn up the tunes. I'll give you 5 minutes or so before you go. You can all finish off your conversation. I'll maybe have a bit of typing in there with you as well. Thanks a lot, folks. Love you all, and keep it real.